You can see that water coming out of there. Yep, we'll get the concassate. That'll help accelerate the process a little bit. But again, if you have time, you're doing your mise en place, get this done a half an hour, 45 minutes before you need it, and then go ahead and drain it. There we have our peeled tomatoes for our hamburgers or for tomato salad, our cherry tomatoes. So now we're gonna blanch a tomato. And you may say, well, why do we wanna blanch a tomato? Well, we're gonna blanch a tomato to be able to peel it. Number one, we wanna remove the skin, which our bodies don't really digest. Do we have to? No, all of us eat a tomato salad, a sliced tomato on a hamburger with skin all of our lives. So it's not necessarily something you have to do, but it's a technique of refinement so that the presentation, the flavor, the texture is always more pleasing, at a higher level of experience. So we have boiling water here. We really don't need to season the water. We're only applying heat to the tomato to loosen the skin. We can peel any tomato. I've got some cherry tomatoes here as well, which you may say, wow, that's a lot of work. It is a lot of work to peel a cherry tomato. But again, something that gives us a sense of refinement to the tooth, flavor, texture. On our larger tomatoes, we'll take the stem off and we're gonna core it slightly. Because we wanna core it now when the tomato is raw, because after we blanch it to get the peel off, it's gonna be a little softer and maybe a little more difficult to core. And then we're just gonna cut it on the back. It'll help you peel it easier, but also help you identify when the tomato has been blanched enough. And we don't wanna cook the tomato, mind you. We just wanna blanch it to take the skin off. Here we go. We'll go ahead and drop our tomatoes here. And it's quite quick, instantaneously. So got a little, our ice water here to chill it down right away. We'll check it, keep an eye on it. So you can start to see, look how quickly that happens. Okay, so that's done, ready to go. And the different tomatoes have different thickness of skin. So the green tomato here has a little thicker skin than the red tomato, so it may take just a little longer. These tomatoes here are probably just slightly overcooked because I've left them in for a little bit long, but still, still very firm. There we go. Okay, so that was all it takes to blanch a tomato. Go ahead and peel them. Yeah, that peel comes right off using my paring knife. Now that's a perfectly raw tomato there. Our green tomato. There we go. And then our little cherry tomatoes, which just pop out like candy, actually. I'm just gonna put those right here in the bowl with these. Once we've peeled our tomatoes, we can use them in a number of different ways. Beautiful. So I'm doing a little cherry tomato salad right here for us. Just gonna dress it with a little bit of olive oil here. And then a little finishing salt. We have some Malden salt here, which we love. Finish it with. And you can add vinegar to that, shallots to that, parsley to that, or any kind of herbs you like to that, and have this beautiful little tomato salad. Other things that we can do with our blanched tomatoes, of course, we can just grate out and slice them for your hamburgers, for a beautiful tomato salad. And then lastly, we're gonna do a little bit of tomato concassé. Concassé is just chopped tomatoes. It's the basic for a sauce vierge, which is tomatoes and shallots and oil and vinegar with some herbs. It goes wonderfully over fish, chicken, It could be the beginning for a tomato sauce, if you will. We always need to have chopped tomatoes for our sauce as well. So to do a concassé, take our tomatoes, cut them in half. And we're just gonna squeeze gently, okay, to remove the seeds. There we go, removing seeds. You're not gonna get them all out, but you'll get the majority of them out just by squeezing lightly. If we wanted to take them all out, we would cut the tomato in quarters and then be able to remove every individual seed. But again, for this preparation, it's very simple. It doesn't require a lot of technique. Then we're just going to chop our tomatoes. Now I'm using a French knife here because it has a long bolt where I can keep my hands close to the blade. And the closer my hands are to the blade, the more control I have on my knife. So those of you who are practicing knife skills, my one bit of advice is don't be afraid of the blade. And then we're going to roughly go through them. Now you can add a little bit of salt at this time, a little bit of kosher salt here, which will help draw out some of that moisture. So we may want to have a dry concassé or a wet concassé. The dry concassé we're going to add, put into our strainer here and strain out the liquid or the water that comes out of the tomato, which by the way is also very good. Save that tomato water. You can freeze it into little popsicles, tomato popsicles for yourself or for your kids or for your guests who are coming to a special dinner. A dry tomato concassé, we want to be able to add our oil to it, our vinegars to it. So we're adding liquids to it so that we have a consistency that would be like this, but without the water, with oil and vinegar. So there's our simple concassé. We'll just put that there and we'll let that sit for 20 minutes and it'll drain most of that water out of there. To accelerate that, if we want to, towards the end of the draining process, we can accelerate it by gathering it together and just giving a light squeeze to it, some pressure. You can see that water coming out of there. That'll help accelerate the process a little bit. But again, if you have time, you're doing your mise en place, get this done a half an hour, 45 minutes before you need it, and then go ahead and drain it. There we have our peeled tomatoes for our hamburgers or for tomato salad, our cherry tomatoes, which are lovely there, and of course our chopped tomato concassé.